Welcome everyone to Unscripted Coding. Now, I'm pretty excited because when Anthropic makes an announcement, generally it's great. They announced Claude 3.7, so an upgraded model, which is always good, but they also announced Claude Code, which is what we're going to experiment with and talk about today. But before we get there, we should talk about Claude 3.7 very quickly. Now, for those of you who have seen me work on the side, Claude 3.5, the previous version, is generally my favorite. It's not a reasoning model, so it's fairly quick, and it gets code out quite accurately. Now, the reason I stuck with Claude 3.5 a lot is because how I use it is still very much in the chatbot realm. I don't make heavy use of things like Cursor or those AI IDEs where it spins up a project all on its own. Instead, I'm mainly using it as a support tool. I just have it on the side, for example, asking questions about code that I'm currently working on. Um, and the other thing is that Claude 3.5 just is very good, but it isn't amazing yet. So I have found it's nice to work on short projects that are a single file, maybe up to 4 or 5 files. But once it starts getting to a big project, you got to put a lot of trust into it. And when it hits into issues, it's a bit hard to figure out which of the 20, 30, 50 files it created is the issue. And so, really, I've stuck with short, simple projects with AI, and it's been great for that. Now, 3.7 is a jump. I expect quality to be, better, and maybe we get closer to a world where I don't have to worry about a project with 50 files in it. That said, what's really nice is Claude Code is one of those AI agentic solutions. I hesitate to say that, but it means that you can just give it a task, create a project for me, and it's going to go into your system, go into a folder, start creating files, start editing things along the way to create the project. Um, what I've noticed about Claude Code right away from the announcement is that it does use terminal. It does use command prompt, basically. This isn't super attractive for lay people. Regular non-coders, it's very intimidating to look at. This is not Claude Code, by the way. This is just a terminal. Nevertheless, I'm excited to try it because this is an official solution. It's a solution that works well with my favorite model so far for programming, and it seems to be benchmarking really, really well. Last thing, Claude 3.7 is a hybrid, so it can reason or it can choose not to, or rather, you as a user can choose not to. And so it kind of bridges the gap between GPT-4 and O3 models. Okay, enough talking. Let's figure out how we can install it. Now, before we begin, you can use basically any desktop operating system and anything that has 4 gigs of RAM or more. Basically, anything that is reasonably modern and has an internet connection, including laptops, including most netbooks and things like that, you'll be able to run it just fine. What you'll need is Node.js. This is something for web development. Many of you might have it already, but very simply, if you're on Mac, you can just install it just by going into PowerShell or Terminal or whatever and inputting a command. There are a couple optional things, Git and GitHub for obviously for version control, and then rip grep, which I've never used, is for file searching. That might come in handy once you get to that 50 different files and trying to get more efficient at finding things. All that is to say, most things will work. But what I noticed is Windows, you do need to use the what is it called? subsystem for Linux, Windows subsystem for Linux. And so I'll show you right here that I tried to do this originally and I kept running into an issue and I realized, oh, wait a minute, why isn't Windows supported? So how you do this very quickly is you go on Windows, you run this command, wsl-install. You could just Google this. This is really simple. It'll take a few minutes to install Linux onto your computer. And then further down, what I did was ask Copilot, how do I install npm in WSL and use it? They have given a version manager, just very simply update your Linux, go install the node version manager. These two you want to pay attention to. So you know what? I will zoom in and I will also just scroll here so you could take a look at all the different pieces. Finally, just install node, confirm the version, and you'll see that it goes through a lot of random downloads and unpacking and all of that before I get to running Node. Okay, now that we have Node running, we are going to go and install Anthropic Claude Code. Most importantly, this is G for global. I have no problems with that because I think I'll be using it for multiple projects. But just realize that. Okay, so let's update npm first. Very good, and let's run this again. I think this is fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is cd desktop. Wonder if there's, okay, one sec. I might as well keep recording. Can you help me create a folder in WSL? So I'm just using Copilot here. I don't use WSL, as you can see. Had to go through all the installations, but should be simple enough. Okay, let's see what we have. For those of you following along, all I had to do is make directory, make dir, Claude Code demo, list, change directories into it. Okay, and then I'm just going to run Claude to launch. Cool. There are different ways to visualize. Like the second one, dark text. Well, this one's pretty nice too. Let's go with dark text. Enter, and then we have Claude Code. I'm gonna enter to log in. And I am going to sign in on the side, so just one moment here. I'll authorize it. Excellent. Fair warning, research preview makes mistakes. Don't do anything stupid. We'll start it in the project directory, use as a development partner, provide clear context. Excellent. Yes, I do trust everything. So yes, proceed. And we can start. So this is how it looks. We're going to work with it in this window the whole time. We can ask it to create a new app. We can ask questions about a code base. I'd be worried about using this on an existing code base. I'd definitely make a backup because it will have the ability to modify files. But let's see what commands there are. So we can clear, summarize the conversation so far, check out config and cost. Okay. Let's check out config. Don't want that. Notification, sorry. I have a little something prepared on the side here. I wanted to see how it does making a web app. Now, Claude Code is not limited to web apps, but Claude has really been good at HTML so far. So, let's see. It's giving me the option to create an inventory here, or not inventory, a directory. So, makes total sense. And I'll let it start. Now, just to tell you kind of the vision I have for this project, just the Pokemon craze right now. Lots of people buying and selling cards, me not included. But I wanted to build a simple web app in which I can keep track of all the cards I own and its market value. For now, I'm asking it to build out an inventory system, a web app where, I could put in, oh, I got a Charizard or a Pikachu from whatever pack. But I think further down in the conversation, and I gave it fair warning that I wanted to be able to scrape websites so that I could keep seeing what the current market value is. So right now, it has created an index file. This makes sense. And I'm just going to go ahead and allow it to just create files as it goes. Now, because it's in WSL, I don't know very well, but how do I access the files in WSL from my regular Windows File Explorer? And I'm beginning to think if you have a Linux computer or an Apple computer, it makes more sense to do it on there. I just worry when it launches things whether it's going to be helpful because it's running in basically a sandboxed environment on Windows. Oh, cool. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to let it keep running on the side here while I try and find where the files are. Hmm. So you can see I have no idea what I'm doing. So I am going to turn off my audio for a sec. And update you in a moment. Okay, so went through a couple steps here that you may or may not have seen. First of all, where do we find the files? And I'm learning this right alongside you guys. If you go with WSL cache sign, so right here, double backslash WSL cache sign, you'll see this. And if you go into Ubuntu, home, and your username, you're going to see the files that you were created. So here I have my Pokemon inventory page, and I can just drag the index file and see what Claude Code has created. Now, obviously, it's glitching and not ideal, so something isn't great with the code. But for a one shot, actually two shots so far, very very impressive. Like it's covered things that I didn't have to explicitly ask it to do. I asked it just to build a web inventory app. It realizes that we should have filters, sorting tools. We should be able to search by the cards and have it add. In my mind, I was thinking multiple pages, but this one makes sense as well. The other question I had, and I did not anticipate this, was that um, I was expecting Claude Code to use a node to create a more sophisticated web page. I realize now that this actually is a pretty simple project, but I was hoping that there would be a server that we'd launch, a simple, Flask server, for example, so that we could keep the inventory in check. It seems to have decided to allow exporting and connecting to a cloud service rather than creating a server on computer. Now, on one hand, I'm a little annoyed that it didn't work as I intended, but on the other hand, this is exactly how I would have built it as well. I try and avoid kind of the local servers during development, especially for something so simple. So can I fault it? Not really. The second thing is I did run this a second time. Each time it took like 2 to 3 minutes. It does take a while, but you'll see that there is a way to update market price, and it's simulating for now the market value increase in pricing. So I'll just run it again, and it's simulating, oh, it went up again, and we can keep checking. And so I'll do like Charizard, especially if I could spell it right. And we'll call it secret rare, and it's mint, and I bought it for $150, and now it is, $1,500. And I'll add the card. Okay, we'll just update the market price again. Oops. And oh, this one dropped. And we'll update. So I'm having quite a bit of fun with this. It has done a marvelous job. So do I recommend it? I think it's a bit slow. I'm not sure I would pick this over Klein, to be honest, but I think we'll have to play it through. The one thing is it does have access to your console. So there is it seems fairly powerful, and it being built by Claude makes me feel a whole lot better than open source projects that, I don't know if they've really crafted their prompts very well, especially for something like Klein or Code. I can modify the prompts, which is good, but also bad because it may not be as good as how Anthropic has figured out their own system. All right. So I'm going to stop talking, but I'm going to ask it to fix this glitchiness. Um, I didn't enter any images, so now it is glitching, flashing up and down. I think it's because it's trying to load the image, failing, shrinking, and expanding while doing so. And let's see how it debugs. I'll come back in a moment. All right, debugging went a lot faster. I think this was just under a minute or so. I'm gonna refresh and see how it looks. Here we go. What it's done is, fixed height, background color. I think there is a kind of placeholder now. Really, really good. I don't think if I ask Klein to do this with Claude 3.5 that it would look as good. If you take a look, it's already decided to put in some colors and styling. You could see there's some interactivity. This could just be the prompting because you can achieve similar results with 3.5 for sure, but just by default, Claude Code seems to ask it to create a fully functional, good looking package. Now, very last thing before I stop, I wanted to see the cost. $1.08, which is a lot actually. We only asked 3 questions, but to pay $1.08 for a functional example here is not bad, especially if you're a business, especially if you're doing this to start a business. It's not bad, but it's also you could rack up the pricing pretty quickly. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with Claude Code. I wouldn't encourage you to do this on Windows. There's just a bunch of hurdles. I'm not familiar with WSL, and I imagine loads of people are not as well. But hopefully, you've seen the errors that I hit, or the problems I hit along the way, and was asking Microsoft Copilot to solve along the way as well. And for what it is, it's perfectly functional. I will try again in the future with my own personal projects. I hope you found that helpful. Claude Code, give it a shot. It doesn't, the tool itself doesn't cost anything, and I think you could create some very simple projects for a couple bucks to play around and see where the world of AI agents are now. All right, I will see you next week with yet another project, and maybe we'll play around with Claude Code again. Bye.